Hello, welcome to Musical Minutes number 5. I'm Carol, and I got a call from a member of the congregation a few weeks ago asking me if I would talk about how I learn a piece and what I think about when I play. And that's a really good question because I don't think most organists think too much about, they do think about what they play, but as far as like worshiping and things, they're so busy thinking about what they're going to play that a lot of times they don't really worship so much in church. But the question today was, what do I think about when I'm playing and how do I learn a new piece? And the answers were separate the lines and play them separately and then together, or practice slowly to make sure I'm catching all of the details, or backward practice, all of the above, or A and B. And the answer is all of the above, plus some more. So I'll tell you about those. With the piece I'm going to play next, I picked a large scale piece because there's a lot more to remember and a lot more to mark and a lot more to think about when I'm playing a bigger piece. So I picked a piece that a lot of people have told me they really, really like. And I thought I would show you in the music how I'm thinking about when I'm playing and how I learned it when it was newer to me. Okay, this is the score for Bach's Fugue in D minor, BWV 539, and it's called the Fiddle Fugue. And I thought I would start by showing you, so a lot of times what we have to do is first of all realize how are we going to turn pages, especially if you don't have a page turner or a registrant or somebody who's standing next to you. Sometimes I will ask someone to stand next to me and turn pages, but a lot of times I can manage it myself if I just adjust the music a little bit. So what I've done is I've started with this page really belongs over here. And then what I've done is I've copied it, which is okay with copyright because I've purchased the music, so I'm allowed to copy for page turns. And I've got it over here on this side of my music. Next, I have to make sure that I can pull this and turn my pages quickly enough so I have these pages down here earmarked. Okay, and so then when I start to play, I've got a little note to myself to make sure I set the tempo and don't go too fast because that's dangerous when we get to some of these other places here that are going to move rather quickly. So this is just introducing the fugue subject, which repeats down here, and then it's going to be down here. And then I'm going to, you'll notice here I've got a little sharp mark. That means that I have forgotten that C sharp that carries through the entire measure, so I had to mark it there. Then I come over and I go over to this side of the page, and I'm going to play here. And this little marking right here means that I can't get this with my left hand. Okay, it's hard for me to reach an octave. So I move that up here into my right hand. So now this note gets added up to this group right here. And then here, for some reason, I kept flat in that E, so now that's an E natural. And if it's in red, it means that I've done that a number of times and I need to pay more attention to how I'm doing it. Okay, when I get down to here, okay, this is kind of a very, very busy section right there. And when I took this to a friend of mine to have him help me with it, he said, you know what, just play that, don't worry about any markings or anything, just play that. So I just play that until I get to here, and then I can take this little line here, means I can slow down just a hair because this is a cadence. And then we start over again. Now here's I have take page away, which means as soon as I play this, I'm going to take that page away, and then I have to focus on, I've got a note here to remind myself to, when I play this D in the feet, that I've got to keep my foot up here and just keep it on the D because this is a kind of a dangerous section. There's no left hand, and I've got to make sure that I'm on the right notes there. And with a big loud pedal, that could be disastrous if I play the wrong notes. Okay, and then if you go over to this side, again, we have a slowdown and a cadence marking. Now, over here, and this is something I'm telling the bell choir, I tell them to look ahead. you know, especially if you've got some rest somewhere. And so when I'm looking at these notes here, my eyes are all the way over here because this is what's coming up. And this little note right there, that's an E. That's this note right here. My feet are doing absolutely nothing right here. So what I'm telling myself is find that E and get it ready so that you're not surprised when you get here and you got to play it, because it's an opening line there. And then I've got a little mark that says short, not to hold these too far into those rests. Okay, and now when I get down to the bottom of the page here, it says turn slowly. Okay, and that's because if I turn it too fast, I could lose my page on the floor or something, and that would be pretty awful to have happen. So I have to turn it slowly because my music is so old it's not attached anymore. And there's another red marking, which means I've missed that G sharp a number of times, so I've got to fix that. And then when you get over into here, you have the same kinds of things where I can't reach it with my right hand. I can't go down that far and make it smooth. So my left hand is already on a D. I need that D right there with my right hand. I just play it again and repeat it with my left hand. So I've added this down to my left hand mix. Okay, now this measure right here is a real good example of what I call slow practice. And this was in your trivia question. I play these lines separately, and then I'll play right hand and left hand, and I play them slowly. And then I'll play right hand and feet, left hand and feet, then I'll put them together. And then I'll do what I like to call backward practice. This was a technique that I got from one of my professors when I was at the Divinity School. And since this is a tough measure for me, especially when not only is it difficult, but right here, I have to hold this and with my left hand because I can't do this smoothly with my right hand. And then this is a chord that I've often missed. Once I can get that chord, then I can play it perfectly once I get through there. Okay, so for backward practice, I would start with this measure, then come to this measure and play this one and this one, and then go to this one and play these three, then go to this one and play these three, and go up to here at the starting of this section and play these five. And the idea being that you're always entering more and more familiar territory, and it's a good way to learn a piece really, really quickly. I do this kind of practice with the bells. And by the time we go through, I don't, torture them with as many measures as I do myself. But once I, go through about 4 or 5 measures with them, and they're about ready to strangle me, but they know that section of the piece really, really well. Okay, and then we're pretty much down to the same old kinds of markings. Some markings for the key and cadence markings, slowdowns, short. Okay, and then now when we get over to here, I've got these marks so that I don't play them too long, because they're supposed to be building a little bit of suspense. And then when I get to here, I just have my right hand going, so I call that steady, not to make it too fast, too slow, whatever. And then when we get to here, okay, this is another measure that I had to do where I played just the hands and then the feet, and because that tends to be a tricky measure right there. And then when I get down to here, I hold, this is a deceptive cadence, which means that you hear that and you know that there's something that's going to come after that. And then I've got a little number in a triangle, number 5, and that means I'm going to hit my number 5 general. I'm going to hit a piston and make this loud, so when I get to here, this is going to be the big full organ with the big full pedal that so many people like. Okay, so now I'll play the Fugue in D minor by Bach.